All right, folks, welcome. PopsToberFest is here. We are doing our thing, and with me, this wonderful guest, my lovely daughter. That's right, TayTay is in the house. She'll be hanging out with us. We're going to talk about Adam's family and Adam's family values. That's right. We did a little thing on Wednesday. We're doing some Oktoberfest stuff, so we said, you know what? Let's just bump this kind of the front of the line. Good stuff for kids, fun stuff for families, that kind of thing. So, Tay, it's fun to do this. Fun to hang out with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be back, continue this. It is fun to do kind of the back and forth connection with doing Adam's Family after Wednesday, so I'm excited to talk about it.
They're just like any other family. Loving parents.
Last night, you were like some desperate howling demon. You frightened me. Do it again.
Playful children.
Where's your costume? I'm a homicidal maniac. They look just like everyone else.
An uncle. Look, a new chapter.
Scabs.
Visiting relatives.
It's old man!
And a thing.
Thing, you're a handful.
The Addams Family. Rated PG-13. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Yeah, so Adam's Family had really kind of been in the back burner and not in most people's mind's eye. It was sort of in syndication and reruns during all of my childhood. It was everyone kind of had some sort of experience to it. I was a massive Adam's Family fan over the Munsters. No offense to the Munsters fans that are out there. You could love your thing. I don't hate the Munsters, just always enjoyed the quirkiness and the fun
Mhm.
of what John Aston and Carolyn Jones brought to the Addams Family TV show and the silliness of it all. So when the movies were coming down, I was always pretty mid on whether or not I was going to like them or not. Didn't quite know how it was going to go. Obviously, they came out a little bit before your time, and it was really a very pleasant surprise. Raul Julia and Anjelica Huston just did a phenomenal job of just doing the same kind of thing. I think the real credit probably has to do to the screenwriters, because the screenwriters sort of like had a nice way of capturing all of that. Like I was really surprised, double checking who actually wrote the film. So I'm looking to see that, make sure I don't misspeak. Um, it was something really good, and you've kind of always grown up with it, I know, because it was something that I've always kind of enjoyed. So once you were kind of old enough to do this, yeah, do you have any early memories of sort of like experience to any of this?
Yes and no. I wouldn't necessarily say specific memories. I just know that it was on one of our list of things that we always watched consistently, especially around spooky season, going right along with like Beetlejuice and things of that nature. That was just one of those family films that we watched together. I will say that there are times when, like, especially this go round, when I've rewatched it, just similar to other things like Coraline, where when I'm rewatching it, I'm picking up on more of those memories or those fond things that I maybe didn't even think about until you rewatch the movie and you kind of capture that. So those moments do come back sometimes.
Yeah, it was a nice blend of some silliness, creepiness, spooky stuff like Beetlejuice. I mean, hence the reason they bring in the team. So the team is actually Carolyn Thompson and Larry Wilson, who did work on the Tim Burton stuff. They did a lot of the work he did over there with Edward Scissorhands and Nightmare Before Christmas, and obviously Barry Sonnenfeld, who directed it, had directed the Men in Black movies. So they were good with some of the visual effects. They were good at balancing some high names, but also making people stars, like really bringing people into the forefront of elevating them again into the mainstream. So, Christina Ricci become like a household name now because of all this. So I think it worked pretty well. The story is a little odd for an Addams Family story in the sense of we have Christopher Lloyd here, at LA Con. We'll get out of all this nonsense. I can't stand that they mix in the premiere photos and stuff in and around the regular photos. But most things kind of rewrite history in the Addams Family lore of something happened in their childhood, that Gomez and Fester had a falling out and he disappears for 25 years, allegedly, and then
Hmm.
randomly shows up at their doorstep after a brief little setup with this sort of con artist who, and they're all sort of like bent on how to steal all of their wealth and their money and that kind of thing. And you have sort of like the series of events that kind of transpire from that. What is one of the things I think that you would say stands out the most of the film adaptation?
Fester for sure, because he's definitely a big part of these two films as far as a primary character that we're following. The family is working their lives, and everything that's happening throughout the film is circling around Fester and what's happening with him as the Adams that we're trying to kind of get back to. I think that because of that, and kind of showing that once an Addams, always an Addams. I think that
Mm.
that really is what carried these films in a lot of ways, because it's like they're bringing him back to the family, and showing him and kind of helping him boost his memory that he needed to be able to understand exactly who he was.
Yeah, it was interesting because in hindsight, I probably would have been a little bit more critical if you had asked me kind of cold. I hadn't watched this in a while or something like that. I never really cared for sort of like the angle a little bit with Tully, and bringing in the villain the way they do, and kind of having these sort
Yeah.
of elements that kind of that play that. But I also don't dislike it either. Elizabeth Wilson is fine as sort of the antagonist in the movie, this manipulator of Fester, telling him his name is Gordon. The irony is, allegedly, I don't think she knew he was an Adams, right? It just basically they
Nope.
kind of retcon their own
Hmm.
story at the end of the movie once he kind of gets zapped again. It's like, oh yeah, no, he
Right.
did disappear in the Bermuda Triangle, and he was caught in a net, and she was basically like
Yeah.
using him as sort of like this incredibly talented, strong. He would know how to pick locks. He would know how to get himself in and out of all sorts of trouble that would have
Hmm.
benefited her um, as her heavy slash go to person for committing crime. So yeah, it worked out. It worked out pretty well. The other thing I would say that I think that really stands out for me, first off, obviously the costume and the set designs are off the chain good. I mean,
Very, very great.
just absolutely spectacular. They bring together wild characters, wild sets and designs. You feel as though you're in sort of like a Tim Burton universe. You feel like you're in
Yeah.
something that is a color version of the TV show. I, I mean, it's incredible. I really, that was probably the one thing I think in hindsight has held up the most. Like, wow, this movie, it really is sort of a it's not really so that's weird because horror is such a strange genre because spooky is such a better word, spooky, creepy, so it counts as a horror film, but it's not really a
No,
horror
it's
film.
not. Yeah.
uh, but I think that it is a film that I think it was nominated for an Oscar. I think it has some fun elements with the costuming and stuff like that. I think that this stuff outside is done really well, and we
Hmm.
get great moments and great things to kind of to build around. uh I gotta, and everything kind of, I mean, you mentioned Fester. I have to be honest, Raul Julia and Anjelica Huston really redefined Gomez and Morticia in a way that took from the original but then kind of made it their
Hmm.
own. Like,
True.
Raul Julia is not as goofy as John Aston. I mean, he has sort of some wild eyes and stuff too, but I think the things that we complain about with the Wednesday show is because they redefined the roles and the characters so well, and there's things there
Mhm.
that work in the grander scheme of things that we really do enjoy the most.
Yeah, I think it sets that expectation. So when we had the adaptations that we did in Wednesday, when it didn't even hit that expectation or exceed it like they did in their version and their adaptation from the show itself, it does make it harder to enjoy those characters in Wednesday because of that.
And enough can't be said about Christina Ricci. I mean, she is just a phenomenal Wednesday. We don't get as much in the first movie as we do the second movie on how incredible she really is. There's a couple of moments, like obviously when the one lady, Elizabeth Wilson's character, they come out of the rooms, they're doing different things. You just see her with a little head nod, a little this, a little of that. Her interactions with Pugsley, as being like the evil sister, is really really
Yeah.
done well. I
Yeah.
really can't say enough for this. I think it's like you said. I mean, I think this is just a great movie for kids, and this, of course, showcases Fester and the kids in sort of a
Yes.
great Addams Family way, where everyone's sort of like shocked and appalled, and they stand up and applaud, of course.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, this guy's great, by the way. Yeah, the neighbor turns
Yes.
out to be the judge.
The
He's phenomenal.
judge. Yes.
Yeah, uh, yeah. It just everything about the movie just kind of works so well, uh, and I think that some of the things they do, which I don't know, the movie almost feels. I don't know, the pacing is almost a little clumsy at times because they cram so much into this movie. On the rewatch, I was like, "Holy cow, I
True.
forgot." It's almost impossible for me to keep straight which of the two, what's in which movie, because I feel like there's so much that goes on in these two movies. It's crazy with the whole sequence with how they get in and out of the vault. How if you pick the
Hmm.
wrong thing, what happens with the fester? How things move
Yeah.
around. You have the sword fights with Tully. You have the perfectly timed gags with Lurch. I mean,
Yeah.
pick a favorite moment. I mean, how do you do that? How do you pick a favorite moment when this movie's just jam packed?
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things is trying to pick a favorite moment or a favorite character because they all connect the way that they do. So I feel like it's really hard. For me, I have a little bit of an easier time doing that if I split the movies up. So for me, as far as the first film, I feel like the reason why I enjoy Fester so much is because it all circles back to how the family is working together to assist him in the way that they are, and even with him not realizing who he is, they believe that that's who he is. They're like, we know for a fact that you are Fester Adams, and they that they can, even to the point where the kids are trying to spend quality time with him. And then when you switch to family values, I feel like the showcase is Wednesday through and through. Like the camp scenes are absolutely fantastic because Wednesday is there, and it made it that much more enjoyable to see like these kids and this family in an everyday setting as far as the school system. I couldn't even take my eyes off of it, and I feel like it was that much more enjoyable to get a full Adams experience because of that comparison to normal life.
Yeah, it's all great, all perfect. Last thing I want to say on the first movie again would be the Thing special effect is sort of groundbreaking. I don't know how people will feel about how it's aged. Again, this is 1990s, folks, and this is very early 90s. So this is, comes out in 91. So put yourself in the shoes of Barry Sonnenfeld, post Men in Black, trying to figure out how to make this hand work, and having this poor performer on like a platform being rolled around and moved around, where he's basically in the green suit to be, cut out of scene. So really, really crazy, just phenomenal work in
Oh
every
yeah.
way. And at the time, it was just truly like, wow, that was done well. That was really pulled off really, really well. So we can move on to the sequel. Adam's Family Values for me is a sort of a, I want to say a step back, but kind of a major sidestep, if nothing else. It it's a story that centers around, you know, Fester trying to get a girlfriend and trying to, have what Morticia and um, Gomez have. And
Hmm.
then the fact that Morticia and Gomez are expecting a baby, which happens at the very end of the first movie, is, oh, by the way, she's pregnant, which is done really, really classy way where she just holds up that she's knitted a little outfit and it's like an octopus that has like, 6 or 7 tentacles, which is great.
Yeah,
In
it's
this one,
cute.
we deal more with like envy. What I don't like, and I guess this is why the film doesn't quite work for me, is out of the gate, I think they get elements of Fester wrong because he was so kind of like a ladies' man, but he's so clumsily running around, not knowing what to do, like a guy in heat, and a guy who doesn't
Yeah.
have his tongue. I always felt like he was supposed to be the weird Frankensteinian looking version of Gomez, but equally as suave and talented. And it just doesn't come
Hmm.
through that way. They're trying to move you towards that, but I wish they had just been that way. Like he was just like, I wish the angle would have been he didn't want um, a woman in the Adams Family universe. He wanted a normie wife. I don't know how to make that work without it. Just like he's after normie women. I know that's kind of weird to kind of spin it that way, but that I think would have been my
Yeah.
angle on it. Instead, it's like he's just after whatever, and we end up with the crazy lady who, I don't know, man. She's like a Black Widow. She's good at
Yeah.
times. I will totally admit there are times where I think she's great. Meanwhile, again, like I said, we're gonna have the baby come into play. Pubert was the baby's name, which I don't know. They're trying to be cute. They're trying to be funny. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was interesting.
Yeah, there's moments that I like it. There's moments that I don't. Wednesday and Pugsley trying to constantly take him out of the equation is a nice little funny
Yes.
element to the movie. Again, and that's something else that's kind of lost in the Wednesday TV show is that they just treat death as like no big deal. Like you're not really ever going to die in the Addams Family universe. So they just have no qualms of doing things that would take you out in the real world. And then they get, of course, shipped off to summer camp, which we'll have to do a special piece just on summer camp. Summer camp is phenomenal. That's what saves this
Oh,
movie. It just
so
saves
good.
this movie.
Yes,
It's so much fun.
exactly.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Pubert in the grand scheme of things?
When I was younger, I probably would have said that I felt that it was funny that they had a baby in the house and that it was an interesting tag to kind of see how an Adams baby is raised and how it differs from how the kids are now. You do still have them like the parents. They're very like concerned for the baby. They want to get it taken care of, but at the same time, it's like children are children kind of thing. So they shake it off to some extent when the kids are doing what they're doing, but they're also, you have those times where they're like, why do you hate the baby so much? And so it's just interesting to have that take. But I feel like it kind of goes back to, there's so much in this film, it makes it almost feel forceful to just have a baby element without it really kind of circling back around. My favorite thing is how the baby is affected by the family. And then when Morticia and Gomez discover that the baby is normal looking, and it changes the whole nursery, and it's just that in itself, like that's treated as like a sickness, and I feel like that kind of brought it back for me because I felt like that was kind of funny that their version of the baby being affected by everything that's happening is that it starts to have blonde hair, blue eyes, and it like she's trying to read Cat in the Hat and all of these normal books, and she can't enjoy herself as a mother because now her baby is the way he is. And I feel like
Yeah.
that kind of made it a little bit more enjoyable, but that wasn't done until later on in the film. So it's just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Stay back! He's very sick!
Yeah, that's a very good point. That the twist, but again, that creates this interesting folklore around the Addams family. Like, okay, he
Yeah.
has sort of a weird ability or slash some sort of illness. So being sick, it's like Wednesday. She's allergic to color.
To
Okay,
color, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm gonna say, and I'm me calling my shots. I'm doing Wednesday season 3, right? I'd be like, Pubert has to show up. Like
Yeah.
Pubert's been away overseas. We had shipped him off for some sort of weird thing the Addams family kids get to do, and the other kids are like, "What are you talking about? Why would you get to go away for 3 years of your life overseas with
Right.
these crazy cousin family?" I don't know. Pull out of the
Almost. Yeah.
mythos, right? But Pubert's going to show up and come back home now, and he's going to start. I don't know how old he would be relative to the other kids. He probably would still be younger than them, but he would
Yes.
finally become home. So now that would pull Gomez and Morticia back to the house, which is where they belong, and not in the Wednesday show
Agreed.
as much as they've been. But yeah, I think that's right. I think that's all fair because it does create a different dynamic to everything else that works and doesn't work in the show and in the film itself. I think that the Fester dynamic works okay. They
Hmm.
have great moments. I mean, they're really full of themselves with their Bride of Frankenstein moments. They have their moments. I definitely am like okay with that, but some of it does go on a little too long and a little too silly. But for
Yeah,
me,
I agree. Yeah, I can
the
see where that comes up for sure because it's like overdone, and to where it's not the Fester that we kind of anticipated to have. I don't know if maybe that's kind of going off of the first film where it's more so like Fester's trying to get back to his normal self before his memory was lost. So maybe that's part of the explanation behind it. But like you said, it's just not the ladies man that we see in like the flashbacks.
Yeah, it would have made more sense if he was a ladies' man, but preferred normie girls or something. Like he would have been like, "I've had my fill of the flora and faunas of the world,
Yep.
Gomez. I think I need something completely different." And he brings home Debbie. He should forget about some of the setup for the audience. So my spin would have been to save this movie would have been he seeks out a normie girl. He comes home with
Yep.
Debbie. Debbie tries to. She's actually more Adams than she is normal. She just looks normal. Like she is a
Yes.
psycho, crazy serial killer. She can be
She's a murderer.
electrocuted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep
Yeah.
all of that and not keep she's trying to cheat him out of money. I don't understand why we even have to have that subplot repeated again. Like I just think that was just silly. So
Yeah.
anyway, but the stars of the show, the highlight of the movie is the camp.
Yes.
The camp is
For sure.
phenomenal. It's so over the top, silly and goofy, and then telling stories and how it all works in sort of an Addams Family universe is truly hysterical on every level.
Yeah. For
Uh,
sure.
let me try to find some more photos. Oh yeah, this was her dressed up. This is what hit the trailer with some of this kind of stuff, right? Yeah, yeah. This and the what are you supposed to be? That kind of attitude is what the Wednesday. It redefines Wednesday in a different way moving forward. To be perfectly honest, she's not. I don't think she was really the fan favorite of the TV show as a kid. Like no one watched the Addams Family, and we were all into Wednesday or Pugsley as kids. It was always just about the the husband and the wife and Lurch, basically. I don't think that in a little bit of Fester, but I think that the show uh, gave us enough of a foundation that the films catapulted Wednesday into like stardom. She became the star of the show with this
Sure.
movie for sure. I know it
Agreed.
was by the
And
time
I
you were
feel,
a kid. Yeah.
oh yeah, most definitely. It just makes it that much more enjoyable for people that do want to get the full Adams as a child, like her perspective on things, her comparing herself to her brother. Um, as I said before, like getting that normal summer camp, but put the Adams in it it just transcended all of the scenes back to back. And it kind of shows how they affect society as the Adams. And it was just perfect as far as her age when she's going to summer camp, why they're there, their plans throughout the whole thing, the relationships that they make. I feel like all of those tie in and circle back around to where a lot of people may have felt like maybe we would have gotten more if we had another film that focused on them. But I feel like even then, the way that it ended, I felt like was perfect.
Yeah, we get just enough of what we need. Um, she has a little bit of a love interest story angle that works really, really
Yes,
well. I think it's fun to see an actor like this who's basically has progressed through I don't even decades and decades of work. This guy has been working in Hollywood for so long, and he's not like a household name. I mean, everybody knows who he is. They're like, oh yeah, that's Bernard from Santa Claus, or they'll say, oh yeah, he was it. So, but I mean, how many people know David Krumholtz? Could David Krumholtz like go out in public? I think he probably could. I think he doesn't have to have
possibly.
yeah. But it's super sweet and cute how it kind of falls into play with Adams, like at the end where they're having a little moment and they're calling each other their little, mon chéri kind of little French names. It was
Hmm.
cute and had their little moment. And then at
Yeah.
the end, he kind of has the Gomez look, and she's like, I'm going to kill you. It's like that's how they show affection. This is how morbid it
Hmm.
is, how weird it is. So yeah,
This was the
love it.
normal for them. Yeah.
You made a comment to me though I thought was very interesting, and on the rewatch, I had my sort of like my antenna were up and tuned to this, was you were like, oh wait, the first one was fine, the second one, not as appropriate for my youngest kids. I was like,
Nope.
wow, yeah, there is a lot of sexual innuendo that actually went a
Yes.
little too far in the second movie,
Yes.
especially with the Fester story arc. Like, okay, way
Good.
too much with what we're getting into. I
Hmm.
the sad thing is that I didn't think any of it was necessary. They could have just dialed that back a little bit and have the
Yeah.
same sort of result. What was your actual thoughts and experiences having to deal with that?
It was difficult because Arya really does love Adam's family, and I wanted her to be able to enjoy it, but it was a struggle to a certain extent. So I did like have it to where basically there was me watching the film by myself so I could get the full experience and see it, and then I rewatched it and it had her sit down with me and I was able to skip forward past those scenes. But she's a kid, so she's not understanding, like, mommy, why are we moving forward? Like, why can't I watch this? Why can't I watch that? And I'm basically, you just have to like dumb it down to their level and say, well, this is certain parts that aren't for kids. Like, we're gonna fast forward to things. And the easiest thing for me was to just be like, well, we're gonna focus more on Wednesday because that's who her favorite character is anyway. So for me to
Good
circle it
point.
back to that, like, oh well, we're gonna go towards the scenes where Wednesday's in it. Wednesday's not in this part, so you won't like it's not gonna be as enjoyable for you. So I feel like that's what she enjoyed the most, and it made it a little bit easier for me to tie it back to her level. Um, as expected, all of the summer camp was her favorite part. She actually likes that part more than she likes the whole first movie altogether because you get so much of Wednesday's fun personality, how her and Pugsley handle summer camp with the normies, and it's in itself was that much better.
All right. How you want to score these movies?
Well, very similar to other things, it can be difficult at times because of the nostalgia feel that I have for these films. I'm going to say that for the first one, it's going to be probably a 4 out of 5 for me, just because overall, the way that it's done to give us a Adams movie, I feel like it was fantastic. It's for its time, the costuming, the effects, thing on its own is done so well. The personalities of all the characters, like you get sucked in and you want more. So the first one, I don't really have that many issues giving it a 4. When I get to the second one, summer camp did have such an impact on me, so it does save the film in a lot of ways. But I don't say it would be as high, so I'm like stuck on a 3.5 because I feel like a lot of the stuff that was unnecessary, that felt forced between Fester and the nanny, I feel like was kind of unnecessary. I don't feel like we needed all of that. So I feel like because we had the summer camp and the focus on the kids in a lot of ways, that saved the film and it kind of brought it up a little bit more
All right. Well, you can tell the nostalgia stuff hits really well for folks because I
for me.
definitely can't get that high. I'm actually feel like I'm leaning high, giving the first one a 3.5 out of 5, and I feel it's mostly because costume design, set design, thing, special effects, all that stuff is done so well. The story arc with Fester, with the whole 25-year thing, and all, it's so convoluted. And then her accent, Elizabeth Wilson, they give her this crazy German accent, which I thought just got very tedious as the movie goes on. But it hits all of the beats. It does everything it's supposed to do. If you were to give it a 3, folks, out of 5, I would not be angry at you. I think a 3.5 is probably more fair because of its time, what it was able to accomplish. The second one, though, ooh, it gets
It's
a lot
tough.
more rough for me. I like summer camp too. I think it saves the film. They kind of ditch some of the impact of the Pubert decision of how much of a story element he is, and but the Fester and the innuendo stuff, guys. I don't know. Like I've already said all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go 2.5 out of 5. But again, 2.5 to 3 is sort of like the Midland, and then you add a little here, you add a little there, you take away a bit. So I think I'm being kind of in the Midland on those films, and I think they are the perfect family time gateway spooky season kind of movie, especially the first one that you and the kiddos can enjoy. And if your kid
Yep.
likes Wednesday, or they may be a little on the edge of being too young for Wednesday, or they can watch parts of Wednesday, then you can watch parts of the second one. And as Tay says, a perfect example, just go to the stupid camp sequence and just watch some of that kind of stuff. Just skip around with that.
Yeah.
And by then,
Yeah.
you have a general idea, have some fun, some more love for Adam's Family stuff. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
Very
So,
true.
any final thoughts on Adam's Family?
No, I think they're go-to movies if you want to be able to sit down, especially the first one, to be able to enjoy some classic characters that are just so well known, especially nowadays with Wednesday getting so much focus on Netflix. I feel like it's bringing the original back. They've done a lot of renditions of the Addams Family, so it is intriguing to kind of compare and contrast even to the animated characters that we have now to kind of see how it's differed over the years. But I feel like overall, they're fantastic films to just sit down and watch just for enjoyment purposes, if anything else.
All right, folks. Well, you guys tell us what you guys think. Are we being too high, too low, too lenient, too harsh? What do you guys think? You guys let us know. Adams Family Value, a nice little choice and a nice little addition to the old PopsToberFest lineup for you. Just a nice recommendation, an interesting conversation for sure. Thanks to TayTay for coming and hanging out with me, folks. Make sure you check out the playlist. Some of the links to the previous reviews and some of those that are coming up have been included in that, so you don't miss out. And hey, maybe you want to subscribe or even become a member and support the old Pops shenanigans over here. So definitely appreciate you. So, all right, folks, you guys take care. Till next time, I'm Pops.
A family weekend. Relaxation. Quality time with the kids. Exercise. Getting in touch with nature. Joie de vivre.
When you speak French, it really drives me wild.
Oh, did we mention it's an Addams Family weekend? A 2-day marathon that will blow you away.
My, that sounds attractive.
It's every single episode, back to back, so you don't want to miss a thing. The Addams Family Marathon, all weekend June 5th and 6th, only on TV Land.
If you miss the Addams Family weeknights on TBS, nerds will be very disappointed.
The Addams Family, 7:05 Eastern tonight.